Hi, we're going to take you through the third goal of the Global Sustainable Development Goals, good health and well-being. This goal is measured and made up of 13 targets. We will go through some of them now.
3.1 Reduce maternal mortality ratio. By 2030, reduce the global maternal mortality ratio to less than 70 per 100,000 live births. Since the mid 19th century, huge developments have been made to our understanding of the link between hygiene practices in our hospitals and maternal infections and deaths. For much of the 19th century, in countries such as Finland, maternal mortality sat between 800 and 1,000 deaths per 100,000 births. Today, that is as low as 3. The use of modern equipment and hygiene practices has drastically improved mortality rate for mothers. Today, the global average sits at 216 per 100,000, so there's still much work to do to reach our goal of 70 per 100,000. Poorer countries where today's modern equipment and practices aren't available are the worst hit. Sierra Leone is in the worst position, with an estimated 1,360 per 100,000 live births resulting in death. That's 1 in 75 pregnancies. By elevating these countries out of poverty and making today's hygiene practices, equipment, and antibiotics readily available, we would expect to see similar results as we have in developed countries where maternal mortality is much lower.
3.2 End all preventable deaths under 5 years of age. End preventable deaths of newborns and children under 5, with all countries aiming to reduce neonatal mortality to at least as low as 12 per 1,000 live births and under 5 mortality to at least as low as 23 per 1,000 live births. Sufficient medical care and availability of vaccines dramatically improve the chances of survival for children in more vulnerable countries. The largest cause of neonatal death is still premature birth. Modern technology and advancements in medical practices dramatically improve the viability of premature birth, with the poorest countries still lagging behind, as these technologies are not readily available. Outside of premature births, acute respiratory infections have the largest impact on child mortality for under 5s. For this reason, vaccinations and strong postnatal care are some of our highest priorities in reducing the rate of preventable death.
3.3 Fight communicable diseases. End the epidemic of AIDS, tuberculosis, malaria, and neglected tropical diseases, and combat hepatitis, waterborne diseases, and other communicable diseases. As before, vaccinations and modern medical care are some of our strongest weapons in fighting these diseases, and making these available in our poorest countries is a priority. Recent studies in genetic engineering have proven promising, albeit controversial, with the possibility of genetically engineer mosquitoes to remove their ability to carry these diseases. Every year, mosquito bites cause the deaths of over 1 million people, mostly from malaria. Modified mosquitoes would breed with natural mosquitoes, and in a few generations, the gene that allows them to be carriers for malaria would be all but eradicated from the population, potentially saving millions of lives.
3.4 Reduce mortality from non-communicable diseases and promote mental health. Reduce by 1/3 premature mortality from non-communicable diseases through prevention and treatment, and promote mental health and well-being. Better education about causes of non-communicable diseases such as tobacco use and lack of exercise can help our mortality rates. The number one cause of death of Australians aged between 15 and 44 is suicide, which we will go into a little deeper in a few moments. Above 45, the biggest causes are heart and lung diseases. The best way for us to combat these is to reduce tobacco use and adopt healthier diets and lead more active lives.
3.5 Prevent and treat substance abuse. Strengthen the prevention and treatment of substance abuse, including narcotic drug abuse and harmful use of alcohol. Studies have shown that shifting the way we treat drug abuse from a criminal focus to a medical focus makes dramatic changes to the rates of illicit drug-related death. Safe injection sites have been shown to dramatically decrease deaths, curbing overdose and helping slow the spread of diseases such as HIV through use of sanitized needles.
3.6 Reduce road injuries and deaths. Halve the number of global deaths and injuries from road traffic accidents. 93% of road fatalities occur in low and middle income countries, despite only having 60% of the world's vehicles. quality of infrastructure is directly related to deaths on roads, and improving these conditions will save many lives. In richer countries, it is estimated that widespread adoption of self-driving cars, once they are commercially available, can prevent around 90% of traffic accidents that are caused by human error. By mid-century, it's estimated in the US alone this could save nearly 30,000 lives a year and just under 300,000 lives every decade.
3.7 Universal access to sexual and reproductive care, family planning and education. Ensure universal access to sexual and reproductive healthcare services, including for family planning, information and education, and the integration of reproductive health into national strategies and programs. Education in sub-Saharan Africa has improved slower than in other parts of the world, with 34 million primary-aged children without a chance to receive an education. The unmet need for modern contraception among adolescents in the region is still about 60%. If education and family planning are made available to every African woman, universal access to contraception makes having children a choice.
3.8 Achieve universal health coverage. Achieve universal health coverage, including financial risk protection, access to quality essential healthcare services, and access to safe, effective, quality, and affordable essential medicines and vaccines for all. This ensures that medical treatment is received by those who need it and medical equality for people in every country. By ensuring that there are no huge out-of-pocket expenditures required for families, this also ensures that medical treatment can be received without huge strains on household income for families and individuals.
3.9 Reduce illnesses and death from hazardous chemicals and pollution. Substantially reduce the number of deaths from illnesses from hazardous chemicals and air, water and soil pollution and contamination. The World Health Organization reports that air pollution accounts for 29% of all lung cancer deaths, 17% of all deaths from acute lower respiratory infection, 24% of all deaths from strokes, 25% of all deaths from ischemic heart disease, and 43% of all deaths from chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. In November 2017, pollution was so bad in Delhi, India's capital, that breathing the air for a day was the equivalent of smoking 50 cigarettes.
So, why is improving health and well-being a part of the Sustainable Development Goals? Because ensuring healthy lives and promoting well-being is important to building prosperous societies. Now that you know the targets of goal number 3, we would like to focus this video on the mental health aspects and what we can do to improve it as teachers and educators. Good mental health can mean something very different for every person. It is a personal responsibility of us all to find our own way to a life that is meaningful and satisfying. Some ways you can begin improving your mental health is to create healthy habits. Be more physically active. Walk to work or school. Take your dog for a walk. Dogs are miracle workers for mental health. Volunteer. You will feel a sense of pride and self-worth by helping other people. Never stop learning. Learn a new language, read, or get involved in group activities, hobbies, or sports. Stay connected with friends and family. Eat healthy and get enough sleep. Learn to relax, do things you enjoy, and practice mindfulness. Set goals and educate yourself on symptoms and how to solve concerns. Get professional help. See your GP or talk to a mental health worker. Education for sustainable development is a key instrument to achieving the Sustainable Development Goals. Education can and must contribute to a new vision of sustainable global development. Education for sustainable development integrates content such as climate change, poverty, and sustainable consumption into the curriculum. It also empowers learners to take informed decisions and responsible actions for environmental integrity, economic viability, and a just society for present and future generations. Education for sustainable development aims at developing competencies that empower individuals to reflect on their own actions, taking into account their current and future social, cultural, economic, and environmental impacts from a local and global perspective. It must be understood as an integral part of the quality of education inherent in the concept of lifelong learning. Education on mental health and wellness can be addressed in many ways. Some things you can try as a teacher is to put a focus on mental wellness rather than mental illness when we teach this to students and other people. This is because it makes the conversation an encouraging one without any negative stigma that is often and unnecessarily attached to mental illness. Another reason to educate about mental health is that prevention is more effective than treatment.
Bullying has a strong link to mental health, and the prevalence of bullying is likely to cause mental health problems even later in life. Research has shown that victims of bullying report more severe anxiety symptoms than others. Being bullied is also linked to social anxiety, which often lasts into adulthood and increases the risk of developing personality disorders. Depression is another negative consequence of bullying, which might lead to suicidal ideation and even suicide attempts. So if you're struggling with depression or anxiety and have a history of being bullied, there may be a link. Educating about mental health within the school system is also important and can help remove the stigma associated with mental health. Adolescents are at a time in their life of massive changes, and knowing about mental illness and the signs of it are really important. Classes could engage in activities such as Are You OK Day and even Movember, charities that have strong links to mental health and well-being. Classrooms can also raise awareness for groups such as Lifeline and Beyond Blue, who help those in need. Simply having their information present in the classroom can be enough to help make them aware. Effective counsellors present in schools can also help ensure that help is available when needed. Promote healthy lifestyles in and out of the classroom. Keeping healthy is a great way to help with mental health. You can also help create a strong support network within the classroom, building a safe environment of trust so that everyone is supported.